What I love about the album is, again, the artwork. I think all of your artwork is fantastic. And to my surprise, we're here in Holland, of course. I saw there's a Dutch version of the artwork.
Oh yeah, is there? I haven't seen that. What does it look like?
It's the Dutch countryside. It's like a map with your artwork projected upon it.
Well, I haven't. Where is that?
I haven't seen. I went for the tour. Oh! I see. The ones that we put out on Twitter and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
It's
like
on Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay.
Facebook. Yeah.
I love that.
It's cool, right? Yeah.
Does every country where you are get that, or was it just a one-off for the Dutch gig?
I'm gonna lie to you and say we only did it for the Dutch for the Dutch team. Like, definitely don't check the German Facebook page. But it's cool. Like, I think you're right that in the recent times we've done really well with our artwork, and I think we've been really proud of how especially the last two campaigns have looked. And like, it's always a bit of a worry before you start. Like, you've got music that's finished, and you're like, okay, now you need to try and make up some bullshit about how to create imagery to go with this, and actually it's basically impossible. You just have to wait until someone comes up with something that really
You guys hook up with artists that you like, and they create great stuff, and it's a good combination, I think.
This one has worked out really nicely, and it took a little bit longer, didn't it, this time, but we got there.
I say, if anything, actually, the coming up with artwork now for our records is there's more pressure on that than there is actually making the album. I just think because, especially, I think the last two have been, absolutely brilliant, and Big TV won the Best Artwork Award in the UK or whatever. So,
Great concept as well.
yeah. So actually now, if anything, making the music's the easy bit, and then when we're talking about artwork and an album cover, it's like, yeah, you basically sit down and go, right, we need a classic album cover. Like, how do we do that? And with all due respect, I think that a lot of album, well, the same as music, there's a lot of really bad album art, and you can very easily slip into it because, especially when you start getting a bit conceptual, and if I'm honest, I don't think any of us like our second album artwork very much at all, but that was a product of someone having this cool idea and us going, yeah, I like that idea, and then them doing it kind of without us being there to look, and then the money's gone, you spent it, and you have to just use it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely much better to find an image that you really like first, and then you can manipulate it, or you can copy it, or you can do whatever. But that's where the pressure's at these days. Yeah.
You always have great ideas to start your record, to introduce it. You have cassettes out right now with the music.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean the box set?
Yeah,
You
the
mean?
box
Oh,
set,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. The box set.
Yeah, Cassettes was a fun one. Like,
Fantastic.
It's always tricky to find something that will be new and interesting to people, and with a deep sense of irony, it now turns out that things that are new and interesting to people are things that are sort of useless technology from the 80s and 90s. But it's, I say that, but then actually I have still got a cassette deck in my car, and I think quite a lot of people do still have cassette players in their slightly older cars. And I've actually not put the White Lies cassette on in my car, but maybe I'll do that next week. But
I love the idea of a 16, 17-year-old or whatever getting their first car, which will usually be an old car from the 90s or whatever, and it only having a cassette deck, and I love that, even though that is probably quite a niche demographic, I love that there is an option for them to hear our album without having to plug in loads of wires and all that kind of Bluetooth or whatever it is. I think it's worth catering, because actually that's quite a magical time for listening to music, I think. I actually don't drive, but I can imagine.
Did you see those videos of like where they give kids a Walkman and a cassette separately and told them like, okay, make this work?
Really? No.
And they couldn't.
so good. That's terrifying. That makes me feel very old. Only 29.
They're like 12 and they can't. They go like, what is this? Why? What does it do?
Oh man.
It's funny, like the car stereo thing is a real sort of like acid test for a lot of people. Like, do you remember Mac? Not
For
Mac.
music, definitely.
Yeah, like it was Alan Moulder who mixed all the sort of produced the Smashing Pumpkins albums and that sort of stuff. He mixed two of our records, and I remember he always listened to his mixes in his car. He listens to them like in his room on like a little shitty radio speaker, and then he'd also always listen to the mixes in his Jaguar. And I think it's a great place to listen to music. You can really.
If you don't have a Jaguar, it still sounds good, I hope.
Yeah, it still sounds good. It still sounds good in my Polo 1.2 litre. So.
Hey, one last thing, because we're going to wrap this up. Of course, terrible thing happened in Manchester. The security here was completely tightened. We were turned inside out. I can't imagine for you guys doing these big gigs all the time that it is a scary time to tour, right?
I think it was really, it was when the tragedy happened in Paris that was the real first, or at least most recent kind of everyone in this industry, or everyone in the arts industry, got a real shake at that point, because I don't think I'm alone in saying that before that I had a terribly naive idea that was a safe place, that the arts world, whatever it is, whether it's a concert hall or a museum or an art gallery or a theatre, you had somehow over time managed to tell yourself that was a protected space, and obviously the idea of terrorism is that actually the safer the place you think it is, those are the targets to inflict more terror. And that's partly an issue as well at the moment, where of course there's horrendous things happening all over the world all the time in terms of bombing, and especially in the Middle East. And but again, the Manchester thing shook everyone so much because an Ariana Grande concert feels like in some way a protected space. So yeah, it's a scary time. And we all have to do that thing that you keep seeing on social media, which is not let it change the way you work and change the way you want to spread music to people, because if you do that, then you're starting to kind of, you're letting darkness win, basically. But yeah, I think everyone is vigilant. Bands, security guards, promoters, everyone is being safe and looking after each other as well. That's the thing as well, is people just rallying around, looking after each other in certain situations. Yeah.
Well said, thank you very much.